What are we doing today? Well, we're getting ready for a next very short assignment, which is due before Thanksgiving, regarding a public service announcement. So that's a page, not in format, so I think it could be fun and relatively quick to do. So we will get into that. And in support of that, we want to look at the information that we have from the textbook about advertisements and writing for ads, which is pretty good stuff. It's one of the strong chapters. So we want to go into modules here and just head down. Okay, let me make those visible to you guys. Publish them. So you can, well, let's at least look at a couple of these as we go along. That'll be fun. Okay, so Natalia says, you can take a look at mine. Thank you. Yes, I have alerts on, and I have to refresh my page whenever I get something in chat to try to see the chat. It's a weird thing about Canvas, at least the way it's loading up for us here. So let's see assignments, and we can take a look at Natalia's. And so Ron, take a look at this, because this'll clarify what the web package is, and then you could when you get your television assignment done, you could take a look at this, turning into a web package. So that's it. How to live a luxurious life being a blogger. Okay, so Ron, the parts of the web package are, you need to have one picture, because the web is really great with multimedia, and that is our nod to multimedia. And of course, on commercial websites, for instance, if you go to KTVU or you go to a station website, obviously, they'll also perhaps have video links and stuff like that. So they're just emphasizing that on the web you can have a multimedia treatment of the story. And then there's Natalia's blurb. In 2013, a couple decided to change their lives completely, becoming bloggers and influencing thousands of people all around the world. After 5 years, they are able to live a luxurious life in one of the most expensive cities in the United States. So that's interesting. We know that the story goes further beyond that. Natalia has chosen to focus in on, I think maybe some of the more intriguing aspects of this couple's life, the luxurious life of a blogger. Interesting. So that's cool. All right. And so then the main body of the story is basically converted from the television assignment, from the television's package script. So it's the same interview, and it's the same sound bites usually. Natalia seems to have rewritten a fair bit. So you can do more or less. Chow stuck pretty close to what she did in the television package. This one is very nicely laid out visually too. Lovely. So let me read it. How to live a luxurious life being a blogger. After falling in love and getting married in Las Vegas in 2014, Sarah and Robbie Tripp have been working really hard to be where they are today. This young couple decided to quit their jobs, move to the Bay Area, and make their dreams come true. Sarah always wanted to start a fashion and body positivity blog, but her overweight made her feel insecure about it. Luckily, her husband Robbie supported and pushed her to do it, and nowadays they both have signed partnerships with some of the most powerful and popular brands in the world. And also, they have influenced thousands of people all around the world thanks to the blog. All right? It's beautiful writing. We asked that the paragraphs be separated with subheadings to let the reader know, where they might want to jump into a story. 2 college students ended influencing people all around the world. I think she might mean ended up influencing people all around the world. Okay. Sarah Tripp mentioned we were just two college kids in love, starting a new creative project together and dreaming big. We always hoped it would one day be as successful as all the fashion bloggers Sarah had been following since high school, and now we feel so blessed to be where we are. It hasn't come without a lot of hard work and sacrifice, but we wouldn't have it any other way. Waking up each day to build our dreams together has been so satisfying. It makes us feel so proud to look back and see how far we've come. So that's a much longer quote than you would have found in an SOT. So that's, you know, something that we can do online is basically pull a longer quote. Maybe, you know, look into the quotes you used for your television package and just see, is like, you know, what if I play it longer? Is it going to inform my audience? That one certainly worked. And a couple more pictures with a caption, which is nice. And then top of the page, a new section, the Snowball Effect. Robbie explained that all started with an Instagram post. They went to Miami and they did a photo shoot with a photographer out there. And after having the photos back, he wanted to share some of the pictures of Sarah and express his feelings for her to their audience. That post started to have a lot of likes, and also a lot of people started following them and asking about their relationship. Sarah said, you know, it's a snowball effect. Once it starts, it's getting bigger and bigger, and you cannot stop it. I think that I remember coming pretty directly from the TV package. But the sentences are longer now, right? These are like sentences that are written to be read rather than said more efficiently. So that's interesting. Subsection, being a blogger is not always easy. Since the couple became viral, they've experienced the best time of their lives, but it's not always easy to be a blogger. Not only they need to be connected to their phones and social media 24/7, they're also exposed to a lot of criticism. Sarah is a body positivity and fashion blogger, and Robbie supports her job through all his social media. But for a lot of people, the fact of talking about Sarah's body the way they do it, it's a very bad thing. Sarah mentioned, I had so many women message me and say, like, how could you let your husband talk about your cellulite? He's just trying to bring you down. You need to divorce him. Besides that, though, they always kept strong and positive. Goodbye, San Francisco. I love Phoenix. Nice picture. San Francisco has provided the couple a lot of partnership, tons of experiences, and a lot of popularity. They hit their goal. But now, after all this years living in the Bay Area, it's time for a change. Sarah and Robbie announced that they are moving by the end of the year to Phoenix. We had a blast here in the Bay Area. It's been, you know, amazing. But now it's time to go back to our roots and, you know, look for the baby trip, Robbie said. It seems like all their followers are crazy excited about what is coming. The couple feels totally supported, and they are looking forward to their new life in Arizona. Read more about it here. So having a link in the story is awesome. If now moving on, so that's the end of the main story. Moving on, here are web links, so you know where you can get more information. And I think that's the end of it. So what we're missing is a written out 150 word edition, which Natalia may have integrated into the story itself. It'd be interesting to find out from her. I asked that you keep it separate just so it's easier for me to see, you know, was it done or not. Let's just hear what she has to say. Just first of all about the whole thing of it. And how come what happened to my chat? Okay. Just wanted to see if she has any comments about doing it. Well, while typing is happening, I got to say that's one of the best ones I've ever seen. Yeah. You know, the writing quality is really good. The layout is, you know, really nice. So it looks great. It reads great. Okay. now we're getting into discussing about the extra. But Natalia, can you tell us a little bit about some of the changes you made? Or actually, this is probably a hell of a lot for you to type. Okay. So maybe it's a shame you're not here in class with us just to tell us about whether we're, for instance, are we right in thinking that you have lengthened out your sentences because that's appropriate for writing to be read? Um, yes, Natalia, we are seeing what you're typing on the screen for chat. So it's true, sometimes it doesn't load up properly, but it seems to be going okay right now. So yeah, Canvas chat, I think, is a weak link in our way of talking to you since you're not here. But yeah, I was just wondering if you had any comments about the adaptation. John, what did you think of it?
It looked like a magazine.
Yeah, it looked like a magazine, right? Layout, quality of writing. I mean, there were a couple of tiny things like life or live, but again, it's because it's not your. All right, so let's refresh. Make sure I'm getting the last word here. Okay, doing all right. Yeah, so it looked really good. Of course, I'll have comments for Natalia. Just in terms of what we had talked about as web writing style. Where the heck is it now? Goodness. These paragraphs are longer than I would recommend for web writing style. So, for instance, I would have split this up. Definitely, I would put the quotes and stuff in a separate paragraph. So basically throughout, that's one of the only comments I would make regarding what we were talking about, was simply split it up into shorter paragraphs. I think it's beautifully written, beautifully laid out. The sheer strategy of putting a picture like this at the top of this narrative twist where they're moving to Phoenix. And I guess another great thing about this is they had a lot of really high quality visuals like this one, which contribute. Most of us would not have like such beautiful pictures. We might have, somebody's profile shot or something that we had, found or something. So that'd be my comment, is like split it up more so that people aren't intimidated by big blocks of text. And I really like the rest of it. Looks great. Subheadings are there. And I would ask other students to set aside the web extra at like 150 words. It's just like a little sidebar. So, Ron, does it clarify what to do? Basically, I know you're writing about George, and so maybe a picture of George, and then the blurb at the beginning, which is the 50-word thing, and then the rest of it can basically be as just write out shorter paragraphs and intersperse quotes from your interview that you've already done.
Yeah, just stop by and take a picture of him again. I did not do that.
Okay, cool. And if you want to write the TV package first, I think it's a shorter write than this. All right, good. So maybe next time when Natalia's in, we can ask more questions. But it is tough to do it over chat. Okay, so moving on to the chapter on advertising, and that's opening up our discussion about advertising, which obviously we're not a marketing class, we're a broadcasting class. So I have certainly tried to tailor our assignment to something that I think is appropriate and foreseeable for students in our program. So rather than thinking about asking you to write a national ad for Toyota or something like that, I was thinking that we could work on public service announcements, because that kind of fits with our college's objectives towards inclusiveness and recognizing diversity and doing social good. And also, I think it's something that is quite doable for students coming out of a program like ours. Like, for instance, I worked with some friends on a series of public service announcements when I got out of school. This is way back when, prior to the internet. So it wasn't all that easy to get your material seen by anybody. And so, producing some short public service announcements for nonprofits in our city, eventually I think we did about 4 of them, was a good way of doing good and also getting some of our work seen. And, we were all people who had met up in school, so we quite naturally, kept up the relationship and worked a bit. So PSAs can be a good opportunity even nowadays. If you're looking towards wanting to do, short form videos and stuff, but obviously you have so many more options than I ever did. However, that's why I kind of say we're going to work on a PSA instead of a national ad campaign. So out of this chapter, they're going to help us define advertising in terms of content, purpose, audience, transmission methods. So those are real important to think over. Understand the way in which advertisements target audience members' needs using product benefits, product characteristics to persuade customers to purchase goods and services. So this is not directly applicable to all PSAs, but it would be if you talked about, for instance, services that are available to people in San Francisco or at City College or something. Understand how to craft a solid 3-step creative brief that will dictate how to approach an advertising campaign. So that's what our assignment is for next week, is to write the creative brief, which, as I said, is only a page, and it's really just a structured way of putting your ideas out there. So I think this could be done with some reflection and then a short period of writing, which is good because we're getting to a saturation point, I think, in what we're doing. Create basic advertising copy. So a couple of weeks from now, after we've had a chance to look over creative briefs and we've been through Thanksgiving, you'll write the television commercial PSA that you did a concept for. And that, again, is going to be a really short 2-column script where you're going to tell us what we see and the kinds of dialogue or voiceover that we have. So it's the next, let's say, 3 weeks are dedicated to that because of the Thanksgiving holiday and everything. So, and then examine the elements necessary to determine if an advertisement or an advertising campaign was successful. We'll talk more about that in terms of the brief. It's important to know how you will succeed with something like that. So, defining advertising as paid communication, core of what distinguishes advertising from news and public relations. Does that make sense? Yes, of course it does, right? We understand that. Has anybody here worked on something they were paid to do, like paid communication already? William, have you ever worked on an industrial or something like that where you were working directly for a client?
Like in what way?
Like basically where you were being asked to craft some kind of message for hire, that somebody else was saying, I need this done. Can you write me something or film me something or shoot me something?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I've done like promotional videos and stuff.
Yeah. Was it, and Ron, have you ever done anything kind of for hire that way, creatively, like made a song or something like that?
No, not that I think of. I mean, I remember making a cartoon, but that was pretty much it.
Okay.
That was like a long time ago.
Yeah. Oh, for me too. Believe me. We're talking decades. But was it at all jarring? Chow, I don't know. I know you're getting more in a starting out. Was it at all jarring to be asked to create something and yet you weren't in charge of the final say as to whether it was, adequate, good, would it fly? Did you have that response, William?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you manage it?
I mean, after a certain point, like, In the same way that anytime you're making something for somebody else, like after a certain point, your opinion on the matter is irrelevant. If I'm not meeting what my client's vision, then I'm not doing my job right.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I understand that. What I found difficult about that was, and yet I have to keep on trying. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, and that's what I found, especially in rewriting scripts and rewriting. You know, you'd be on your fifth rewrite with this client, which was Air Canada was one thing. I was working for an agency that had a thing with Air Canada, but it wasn't a commercial or anything exciting like that. It was a training thing about some new food service like equipment. It was like, so and they would keep on asking for changes, and it would be kind of like, okay, just tell me what you want, but they don't. You're the writer. You're the one having to supply this. So that's honestly what I found difficult. We go through school, and it's very often, we want you to write the best PSA you can on the topic that really thrills you, or do the best video, and then you get out and you work for a client, and it's kind of like it's probably not your top priority, and yet you're being paid to invest yourself. So there's just a big transition into working when you're doing something because you're paid to do it, and then the minute you are in there, you realize there's like everybody is experiencing that, and they're all saying, yeah, when I have time, I'm going to do my documentary, or I'm writing my feature, or you know what I mean? It's like everyone was dreaming of the creative freedom that we had before. So just saying that paid communication is kind of it's a different game, and it's tricky because somebody else decides whether it's good enough, and yet you have to be invested in it to do a good job. So I found that difficult. Still would if I was doing it. So having to know the sponsor allows the public to understand the information, what it is that they're getting, the angle that they're taking. So that's an important thing. You want to know who the message is coming from. And boy, we saw that scary video this morning about kind of the anonymous message, or the anonymous sourcing of these Facebook messages, which were apparently influential. Information plus persuasion. Advertising law requires that companies back their claim with information as they attempt to persuade people. So you are supposed to inform, and you're not supposed to make it up. Best message in the world won't have any impact if they don't reach the proper readers and viewers. So having a sense of your target audience is important. In our case, we're talking about basically an advertisement that is going to support a service or an idea rather than a product. So we're not going to write a commercial for a product, but rather for a service you can take advantage of at City College, or some idea of social good that you have. All right. And the key document at this stage, before we get to a script, is the creative brief. So it's also sometimes called the creative concept. It's pretty much interchangeable, creative brief or creative concept. So it offers a coherent examination of how best to reach the audience with your pitch and why this approach will work. So that's a good point. That's what we're going to be working on. So it typically has a few sections. The objective. So this is what you want to say. What are you trying to accomplish with your communication? The support statement, which is you're describing why you feel that this approach will work. It might be based on research. It might be based on previous success. It might be a hunch in your case, and that's fine. So tone or brand. So this is a section where you basically say, okay, what's this thing going to look like? How do you plan to do this? Is it going to be, colorful and imagistic, or are you going to have a person speak to the camera in a kind of one-to-one testimonial type thing? Are you going to use humor? Are you going to maybe try to scare people? So how do you plan to give the people the information that you're working on in a way that will work with them? You know, again, if you were doing a PSA about stop smoking, you know, and you thought, well, I'll just show, you know, all these pictures of people with clogged up lungs and how gross it could be. You know, gotta wonder if that is going to be acceptable to your target audience, which are people who smoke. They may not want to see themselves in such a horrible light. You know? So those are the parts typically of a creative brief. And let's just get out of full screen. So that's what our upcoming assignment is, not the web package. I've got so many tabs open, I'm confused. How are we doing? There's the tab. Here's the assignment. So let's blow it up a little bit so we can take a look at it. So in this assignment, we want to research and write a creative concept for a public service announcement for television. That's the first part of this assignment. That's what this is, and I'll be asking for that next to be turned in next week. And then we have Thanksgiving off. And the week after that, we're asking for a script. 2-column script, which is, you know, the same format that you did in the TV package. So it'll be like audio on one side, video on the other. And there is nowhere near the kind of format standardization for this type of work as there is in, for instance, television and radio scripts. So the formatting is minimal. In this case, we're looking for a page, you know, divided up into sections which cover, you know, the stuff that's in the creative concept or the creative brief. So a public service announcement is a message in the public interest disseminated without charge. So in other words, a television station will play these, usually after midnight or something. But it's fun to get your stuff on television. And they don't charge for it. So they're looking for something that does, you know, social good. They don't want to give this away to a commercial advertiser. They'll give it away to a community organization or somebody with a good message. The objective of raising awareness, changing public attitudes and behavior towards a social issue. So that's what a PSA is supposed to do. It's kind of like a little commercial for something beneficial to society. You can create a PSA for any cause you want. And so we can look at some examples from the Ad Council, which are professionally produced PSAs. Don't have a favorite cause? If you want to raise awareness about programs or services at CCSF, you can find a list of student services here. So if you would like to do something, I mean, my God, we would love it if you would write us some PSAs about services here at City College. So there's a list of services there. And because they're accessible to us, you could just, give them a call from the phone number and you could find out, you could do research easily that way, just calling some service providers here at campus and saying, who do you serve? What benefits do you have? What kind of needs do students have who come to see you? And so you can really ask them the direct questions which we're working on here, and they can help you basically. So the instructions for writing a creative brief in the textbook, page 216 to 220, and the basics were just said with the slides, but take a look at it if you want. Pay special attention to the information pertinent to television advertising. So we're going to be working on TV advertisements. Okay, not radio, not billboards, not social media, TV. So your creative brief for your television PSA is written with a small audience in mind. You're writing for your client. You're telling your client what your vision is for this PSA. There is no particular format. It should be one page long. should justify or explain the choices that you made during the steps described following the model of the creative brief in the textbook. Don't leave any of your choices out of your description. So here's an example of a creative brief. So this one is for a city college service, but doesn't have to be. Could be an an issue. Let's replace it just so I can open it up. Sorry, I get it now. I get it now. I must say I've never been more technologically challenged, or at least felt more incompetent than lately. My computer crashed yesterday and I have to get it fixed. So these are, the sections that we talked about in the textbook. So the objective, the supporting statement, why you think this is going to work, and then the tone or brand. So let's take a look at this. Here's the objective statement. City College wants to reach prospective students to create awareness about college readiness and access using the CCSF Student Ambassador Program, which is one of those services that you could find through a link. CCSF presentations, campus tours, college fair, application workshops, to promote the idea that Evertone, I think she meant everyone, is college material, and CCSF provides the tools to realize your goals and dreams. We want to strengthen partnerships with K-12 schools, community-based organizations, government agencies to promote CCSF outreach. So, an awareness-raising campaign, that's the objective, with a very broad audience, K-12 schools, community organizations, agencies. So it's a very big, target audience, basically anybody who might want to come and study at City College. So fair enough. Your PSA could be nothing to do with City College, could be some other social issue you'd like to take up. It could have a very narrow audience, or it could be as broad as this. It could be nationally, buckle up your seatbelt. Then, obviously your target audience would be just about anyone who could get in a car. So typically, the more narrowly defined your objective is, the more fun and I won't say easier, but the more fun definitely an assignment like this is. So given we know the objective now, it's to raise awareness about college readiness. Supporting statement, the student that transfers to the four-year college university, the single mom that got the skills to get not just a better paying job but a career, the high school dropout that never thought he was college material and learns a trade at college CCSF, the car salesman that reinvents himself as an entrepreneur. So these are sort of four prototypical students that the writer has, dreamed up to feature in the advertisement. Campaign is very visual, has the potential to move and inspire with powerful content. It can be shared on social media. That's great. I really hope it does. You can always say that, but it's kind of like, put your money where your mouth is. Let's see what the ideas are. Our target audience, K-12 schools, high school students, adults seeking to continue education, learning a trade, transition to a career. So, terrific. I think as a supporting statement, this is the strongest part about it. Define your target audience further. You may, include in your support for your approach. Basically, what's being discussed here is the diversity of the student population in any community college. So as long as you prefaced this type of approach, I think that does lend support as to why you're doing it this way. So, this could be tweaked a little bit. The campaign is very visual, be shared on social media. Given the age of the top two categories of target audience, I think that's appropriate. Viewed on TV, well, I think that will probably reach adults seeking continuing education, an older audience. So I think, this is good support. Given the target audience, this does make sense that we want to reach in that way. And then the tone or brand section, is more about how you visualize this. Like, how are you going to do this? How are you going to, make this interesting and informative and entertaining? A series of vignettes for web and TV. So we shouldn't be talking about web because this assignment is only for TV. That features CCSF graduates in a where are they after CCSF point of view. That's interesting. So female student in class in a CCSF shirt, walking the CCSF campus, sitting in a lecture hall, wearing a UC shirt, then giving a speech at graduation ceremony. Super tagline. Tired mom comes home in a waitress uniform, makes dinner for the kids, puts them to bed, working laptop. Next day, happy mom. Young adult male, salesman. So I know what she's up to here. She's taken her kind of the 4 people that she spelled out up here, and she's basically showing us, kind of a before and after, or a while they're in school and what they achieve afterwards. So I'd say that's the tone. You're representing the diversity of the potential target audience with different people of different gender, ages, lifestyles. You're showing them succeeding. There you go. What do you guys think of this creative brief? Do you think this will make an effective ad? And do you think if you were a client, would this move you to say, yeah, let's do this? What do you guys think?
I think yes.
Chow says yes, it'll all work. Yeah.
I could see it working too.
The idea is you're trying to tell people to, check out this school, and you're showing them a wide range of folks who are succeeding and getting something out of it. Makes sense?
But it seems like the target audience is like wide range, rather
Yeah.
than just like one specific group.
Absolutely right. Yeah. So, we've all seen a lot of commercials. We're all experts on this topic, right? So when you are, one strategy, especially in visual advertising like this, is the people you put in the ad kind of represent the audience. The audience sees themselves in those particular people, and they, get on board with the message. So I think it was a great idea here to have the 4 different kind of prototypical students who represent, the different target audiences that we could have.
Do you guys try a model at the end?
The model, that is one thing that you can do. So think about it, a tagline, or there's also a call to action. So we'll get to that more in the scripting stage. It's, I'm not sure if a creative brief would necessarily have to have a tagline or a call to action, but, the idea is, if you come up with something right now, throw it in there. Tagline is great. If you are, like eventually, I don't know, if we looked at the script that came out of this, it would be, hey, check out CCSF's website for more information, or be sure to apply for scholarships. The deadline's coming up on November 15th or something like that. So there are calls to action which can be embedded either at this point or during the script. Let's look at some examples of PSAs so this is the Ad Council's website, and so the Ad Council is a nonprofit. It's been around for decades. It's where professional advertising contributes to social causes. So these are professional advertising professionals who are working pro bono for producing PSAs of very high quality. So I was thinking we could look at a few of them. As I said, you're invited to write a PSA about anything you like. So some of the causes that are up here might be interesting to you. I've had enough getting out the vote, let's check out the Empowering Girls in STEM. I love this topic. So notice they have all campaigns from different media, which is also interesting, but we're going to focus in on TV. So let's just take a look at this.
Come with me. My team and I bring the Halo world to life.
Is that you?
That is me. I wasn't a math genius, and I knew nothing about coding. But you guys do. You guys have the power to change things.
I want your job.
I want you to have my job.
Cool. What did you think? It's come by so fast. Let's see it again.
Hey guys, how are you today?
Good.
I'm here to talk about how with technology you can make amazing worlds. Come with me. My team and I bring the Halo world to life.
Is that you?
That is me. I wasn't a math genius, and I knew nothing about coding. But you guys do. You guys have the power to change things.
I want your job.
I want you to have my job.
Cool. What did you think now?
Short and sweet.
Sure. Yeah, these are 30-second ads, so it's a good point. You know, PSAs are not going to run to a minute. It's free time given away. So that's a good point. We're doing something only 30 seconds long. Chow, any thoughts on it?
Empowering.
Sorry?
Empowering.
It's empowering? What aspect of it made you say that? I agree with you.
Like you're saying, like, oh, she can do it, so can you, and she wants you to have like a good future, and
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
she didn't start out that way. Like she didn't know about coding or math.
right. Let's, we can look at plenty of other ones too, right? But so, objective, support, and tone or brand, right? So these are the three categories that you're writing your creative brief in. So the first time I saw it, I was of course aware, okay, this is about encouraging women to go into STEM, girls or women to go into STEM. Then when I watched it the second time, I felt that the objective was narrower than that. I felt the objective was to inspire women in STEM to share. And so that might be one objective, and then the other objective was to inspire females to STEM, to go into STEM, right? I think that was it. Agreed? Is there more that I'm missing there in terms of objective?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think we pretty much got it. It's only 30 seconds long, right? Support, within the ad itself, it tells us that, girls with mentors more often go into STEM. That's a real good point, and that's a point which supports this idea that, you should get out there and you should talk to girls about being in STEM. There's probably more stuff there. Let's talk about tone or brand. What did you notice about the way that it was done? Ron said short and sweet.
It was fun.
It was fun. Yeah, it was really dynamic. So
Yeah.
it was fun.
Anybody knows this whole thing between females and gaming?
Yeah, that's true.
Which I kind of find kind of weird.
Really?
Well, because I was thought like video games like for everybody, but then it's like, I don't know.
That's it? Okay, keep going, because when I saw it, I was thinking, yeah, a lot of guys are usually into games, and the profile, you typically think that programmers are going to be guys, but there's lots of girls who are into games too. It's just not part. It's not part of the social cliche or the stereotype, right? Yeah. But yeah, associating gender with an activity like gaming is striking in its way. So that I found interesting. And the way that visually,
Hey guys, how are you today?
talking
I'm
about
here to
games,
talk about how with technology you can make amazing.
talking about games, you can cut in all kinds of amazing imagery.
Especially Halo of all games.
Right. Maybe it was just, yeah, that is nice stuff. There, you can cut stuff like this in, which is fun and dynamic. So I like that tagline. What do you think, Chow? You're asking about tagline. She can STEM, so can you. Right? I liked it. I liked it because it was there, first of all. She can STEM, so can you. But that's ultimately why I thought, okay, maybe this is to inspire women in STEM to share. So, I thought that was a cool one. Oy. There we are. Close. Okay, you guys get to pick the next one. What would you like to see? Gun safety? Oh my God. Opioids? There's some real heavy, important stuff here. Chow, you get to choose.
Okay.
Team bullying? Awesome. Okay. Let's check this out. This one or this one? TV, yes. We want TV. Definitely. I thought they were both TV. I wasn't looking closely. Here, let's see.
Okay. Because of you, I felt hopeless.
Because you told me you didn't like my voice, I started to not like it either.
I know it was a joke, but it still hurt me.
Because you said rude things about my work, I started to question my own voice.
Because of your negative comments online, I've almost quit doing the one thing that makes me happiest in life.
Because you shared something about me that was private, I felt embarrassed.
Because you said hi to me on the first day of school, I felt included and I knew that I was going to be okay.
Because of you, I felt wanted and not alone in this world.
Because of you sharing your story with me, I feel comfortable sharing my own.
Because you were there for me, I feel beautiful.
Because you were there when I was coming out, you helped me regain my confidence.
I'm still here today because of you.
Cool. All right. Let's look at that again. These
Okay. Because of you, I felt hopeless.
Because you told me you didn't like my voice, I started to not like it either.
I know it was a joke, but it still hurt me.
Because you said rude things about my work, I started to question my own voice.
Because of your negative comments online, I've almost quit doing the one thing that makes me happiest in life.
Because you shared something about me that was private, I felt embarrassed.
Because you said hi to me on the first day of school, I felt included and I knew that I was going to be okay.
Because of you, I felt wanted and not alone in this world.
Because of you sharing your story with me, I feel comfortable sharing my own.
Because you were there for me, I feel beautiful.
Because you were there when I was coming out, you helped me regain my confidence.
I'm still here today because of you.
nice work. So, what did you guys think of that one? What would you say is the objective?
Okay.
What's that?
Discourage negative interactions between each individuals.
Yeah, okay. And encourage positive. Right? So let's discourage the neg, encourage listening, communication, and so on. I think that's a pretty important message. I don't know what I'd write there about support. Sure, what did you think of the tone?
Just trying to invoke like an emotional response.
Yeah, definitely, right? It's emotional. Right? I mean, there's a obvious, it clearly divides the negative from the positive.
Right.
There's like a first vignette, it's how much you hurt me. The second one is how much you encourage me. So it has that structure to it. Like, what would we talk about there? I guess it's the turning the negative into the positive. None of my pens work. But we know that's part of the tone, part of the brand. So that, there's different words for that, but having someone talk to you directly through the video, through the TV, it's called direct address, right? So there's some that are like testimonial, where real people actually say what happened to them. So this might be an example of, testimonial address. So, the way you want to do this is you're going to have people who are, clearly, again, a diversity of people who may have suffered in different ways from being bullied. And you're going to, show us that transition from, you can either make it worse or you can make it a lot better for a fellow human being. And having people directly talk to you that way is perhaps effective. So that's a possible strategy that you could pick. It's like you could have a student saying, I really needed help on my assignment, and people at the Learning Center helped me out. So it's direct address. If they talk to you directly, if they're talking about their own authentic experience, that helps. Sometimes they're scripted, sometimes they're real. So I don't know if those people are really there. But it seemed quite sincere. William, any picks?
Are we still doing this?
Sure.
At the bottom there is learning and attention issues. Yeah.
Awesome. Left or right?
Either one.
Either one. Let's do this one. Animation? What? That's cool. You could
I didn't see that movie.
You could decide to do it animated. Definitely.
I heard the writing in it was pretty good, but I didn't see it.
YouTube, full screen.
I'm Ferdinand. You look at me and think big. You think scary, but I'm a little misunderstood. Funny! Sorry, I almost killed you. You've all been misunderstood. You're not a fighter.
I don't understand that at all.
Kids with learning and attention issues like dyslexia and ADHD are misunderstood too. Take the time to understand.
Best plan ever!
The right support, everyone can reach their full potential because you can't judge a bull by his cover. Learn more at understood.org. I'm Ferdinand. You look at me and think big. You think scary, but I'm a little misunderstood. Sorry, I almost almost killed you. We've all been misunderstood. You're not a fighter.
Oh, I don't understand that at all.
Kids with learning and attention issues like dyslexia and ADHD are misunderstood too. Take the time to understand.
Plan ever!
The right support, everyone can reach their full potential because you can't judge a bull by his cover. Learn more at understood.org.
Well, what did you think?
I think it is like an interesting way of like addressing both like both two very different sides of like your targeted audience, because like just as we were looking at the one before that was talking about bullying, I feel like there are undertones of that in this one, but it's also addressing like the greater idea of like, hey, like sometimes like our perspective on things isn't always like accurate, and I think through the use of a character from a kids film, you're able to address both very, very young audience and their parents at the same time.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Just the way those movies manage to talk to two different audiences, you know, there's
exactly
stuff for the kids and the adults. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, and it's I found it really busy and distracting at first, but the second time we saw it, it made a lot of sense to me as to why they picked that one. You know, that approach. I think you got it. Let's see this different part of the same campaign.
We just finished dinner and it was time for home.
Sorry guys.
For homework. I hate. We just finished dinner and it was time for homework.
I hate homework. It makes no sense.
I don't know how he finds anything in his backpack.
I can't find my backpack.
I couldn't even read his handwriting.
Holding the pencil makes my hand hurt.
I know he's bright.
Why is it so hard for me?
He's
I'm
just
trying
gotta
as
try a
hard
little
as
harder.
I can.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
Acabamos de cenar y era hora de hacer la tarea.
Él
Detesto hacer la tarea. No la entiendo.
Sí sé que es inteligente.
¿Por qué me resulta tan difícil?
Solo tiene que esforzarse un poco más.
Ha! Wow. That is so much the situation in my house. Wow, that is amazing. Any thoughts on this one?
I think it does the same thing that we were talking about in the first one, just in a different way, like where they're showing both sides of the conversation, and so they're able to address both of their very, very different polar opposites of their target audience. They just do it in a way that comes off less campy. And like obviously addresses it in a little bit more of a serious tone.
Yeah. A split screen like that is a great, way of demonstrating there's,
The duality
misunderstanding.
of the situation.
Yeah, exactly. Duality, the misunderstanding, right? It's like everything that the child is saying about his experience, the father is saying, I want this to be different. I want this to be better. It's like so. That's what I was responding to.
Anybody?
Yes, Ron?
I'd say anybody find it funny that they almost look similar.
That they what?
They almost look similar.
Well, aren't they supposed to be father and son?
Or I'm not sure. That's the whole thing. Is you're not sure they're father or son, or they're supposed to be like maybe the same person.
Oh, interesting. I hadn't even thought of it that way. True.
What might have been challenging before might have changed as an adult.
True. Right. And you can now find yourself in the situation of not understanding. I mean, that's definitely my experience of, being a kid and then growing up and having a kid and not understanding. Like, how come you don't write clearly? Like, why don't you want to write clearly? It's like, oh, definitely. That's a real interesting point, Ron. I hadn't thought of that. By putting the two together, though, it really plays off this, mismatch of the way they see things. And I thought that was really effective. So maybe one thing you could think about in your concept, or your creative brief is, if how can you visually present us? How can you show us something? It's like if your objective is to get people to understand each other, and you're going to sort of have the negative example of here's misunderstanding, what's the most entertaining and effective way to show it? I think this really succeeds on that level, in that when they speak at the same time but diverge completely in what they say, it really carries that message. So can you think of a way that maybe the very simple message you want to get across can be portrayed visually in an interesting way? I'd be tempted just to look at another one, but maybe we should. Ron, do you want to pick one, or we have like 3-4 minutes left? So maybe we should wait till next class.
Yeah.
Okay. I think so. So let's just see in the information about the brief. Where are our slides here? Come on, folks. Come on. Advertising brief. Just want to make sure that there's not something essential that'll be really useful for you as you think about this over. Yeah, this is more of the generalized stuff. Yeah. Okay. I don't think we really need to see that. So the last thing may be that video that was there that I thought looked interesting, and then we can call it a day and turn you loose. But creative brief, how long is this? Like, it was 20 minutes long, we're not going to watch. Hey, dead link. Thank you, textbook. All right, that means we're done. So just remember, like the 3 parts of your creative brief. You can read it again. The pages in the textbook are there, but the 3 parts is like, what do you want to accomplish? What's the rationale? How do you think you're going to do this? How do you think you're going to affect people? And then what's the actual way that you will show this or present it in your TV ad? So think through, and if you can come up with kind of a powerful visual metaphor, like having 2 people so similar talking simultaneously, except they go off completely in different directions. I think that's really powerful. So that might be one approach to take. We'll see. So when we come back next week, this will be due. So you got time. But we can talk more about it and look at the rest of the chapter next week. Thank you, guys.